Hey, I'm so excited to be with you guys tonight to share with you some of my favorite herbs for healing. I have been using herbs and natural healing techniques for over 17 years now, and so many people ask me, is it worth it? Does it cost a lot of money? Do you think I can do it? And the answer is yes. And I want to show you how tonight. I'm sorry about my voice. It's a little bit squeaky. I was teaching at a conference all weekend and got to meet so many new friends and faces. And I really have enjoyed meeting with you guys, but it has um made me lose my voice a little bit. So I hope that you guys can still understand me. But because we only have such a limited time, I want to just jump in and share with you some of my favorite herbs for healing. I will be making this incredible kit with you guys tonight. You guys can see this. Oh, oh. So we're going to be making our own herbal first aid kit using this pouch and all of these ingredients. And I'm going to be showing you how to do it and what everything is used for. I also have my trusty lemon water with cayenne pepper to help me through if I need to cough or anything like that. So I hope you guys can all see me. If you have questions, let me know and I will help answer them in any way possible. But I'm going to share my slideshow with you guys and um, we'll just get on our way. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. This is my cute family who I use Herbal First Aid with all of the time. And it is such a blessing that they are willing to let me try out new healing modalities with them and for them. And so um, just so you guys know, as we get started on this, I did create every program and product based on my own personal experiences, but the advice I give really is mine. Rely on your own intuition and medical assistance for your own experiences and what you feel like you need to do, but this is not in any way medical advice. Um, and with herbal healing, if anything, you need to go to the doctor, I say do it. They are experts and they know how to help you. But in the meantime, accidents do happen. And sometimes we're not right by a hospital or a doctor, or it may not be a big enough problem to have to go. So, what can you do in the meantime? And these are some pictures of experiences I've had as I have helped my family to heal. And so, um, about 2 years ago, we took our family to Cabo, Mexico, and while we were staying there, we were eating at a hotel restaurant, and my cute little daughter, slipped and fell, and she cut her eyebrow, on a cement bench, and I immediately picked her up and ran to my hotel room because luckily I had my little herbal first aid kit with me and knew that I could really help her better than anything else. My husband, on the other hand, went to grab the medical staff at the resort. And interestingly enough, they had no medical experience. So I was grateful for my herbal first aid kit because what I did, like you can see over here in this first picture, is my daughter was bleeding pretty badly. It took me about 5 minutes to run up to our hotel room. And by that time, her face was so covered in blood that she couldn't even see. So I immediately took out my herbal first aid kit, grabbed the cayenne pepper, and started sprinkling it over her eyebrow. A lot of people have asked, well, wouldn't that have caused her eye to burn? And the answer is yes and no. She did feel a little bit of burn, but she was in so much pain and shock anyway that she didn't even notice it. And as soon as I left that cayenne pepper on for about 30 minutes, I washed it away. And in the second picture, you'll see what it looked like. By this time, I felt like I would just let her rest until my husband came up with the medical staff. So I rubbed some lavender oil on her feet and put some eucalyptus and peppermint around her temples to help with any pain. And she fell right asleep in my arms. And when the medical staff came up and they had no idea what to do, they didn't even have a butterfly bandage. They said they would cut their own little butterfly tape. And I grabbed some super glue and used some ginger essential oil and super glued her eyebrow back together, put on the little butterfly tape, and she went to bed. By the next morning, she was up playing again like nothing ever happened, and that wound healed very well. To this day, you still can't really see anything. I had another experience a few months ago where my oldest son, who's 16, was in the bathroom helping my husband go through some money. And he had broken the piggy bank that our money was in. And when he went to grab, um, excuse me, something, he reached up and um, he had cut his finger and immediately fainted from the sight of blood. And I went and grabbed my Herbal First Aid Kit, came back, made him drink some cayenne pepper, and had him rest because I knew he was in shock. And as soon as the color came back, almost immediately, I was putting on the cayenne pepper on his finger, it stopped the bleeding, we super glued it, and everything was okay. I just want to come in and make sure that everyone's able to catch the live stream. So going back to our experience with herbs, um, I want to ask you, what can you do? Or what can you use for natural healing? Because what you can do and what you can use are a lot of things, but I want you to feel empowered in knowing that there are these herbs that you can use that will really help your family. So I have my top favorite 8 favorite herbs for herbal first aid that I want to share with you, and some of the incredible healing properties that they have for emergencies and natural healing. So, um, my top powdered herbs are cayenne pepper, charcoal powder, chamomile flowers, and comfrey. Um, my top 4 oils that I put in my kit with the essential oils are eucalyptus, lavender, peppermint, and ginger. And I want to tell you about why I chose these and how amazing they are. And so many people ask me, these are just plants. Can they actually help me? And my answer is yes, 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 yes. They can help in so many ways. So let me share those properties with you. The first one is that they will help you be prepared. If you have these herbs on hand, which I carry my Herbal First Aid Kit with me everywhere I go if I can, I know that I'll have what I need in an emergency. And it has helped me over and over again, whether it's at my kids' sports game or we're hiking or just visiting grandma and grandpa. We've had so many experiences to use our Herbal First Aid Kit. So um, when you pull out your kit, hopefully the end result will just be here in this bag. But what you'll be getting in the Herbal First Aid Kit is 4 therapeutic essential oils. If you purchase this kit with me, you'll get these 5 milliliters of essential oil. So we want to pull those out so we can use them. And everything is labeled so that you will know what to use. And it comes with empty bottles so that you can fill them. And I want to teach you how to do this. So you can make your own essential oil roller bottles. And it comes with the caps like this. Show you better on how to use that. It also has refill kits for powders, because what I did with the powders is it would be too hard and messy to fill up your own kits for the first time tonight. So I did that for you, but I did give you the powder so you can refill your bottles, because some of these you might go through a lot, like cayenne pepper or charcoal powder. It also comes with some bandages, and everyone has a butterfly bandage after my little girl's experience, alcohol wipes, and little stickers to label your bottles and lids to put on the bottles. So it also comes with fractionated coconut oil to fill your bottles with, and an herbal and first aid instruction card. On the back of this card, you'll see a QR code. If you want these notes and more details like I'll be sharing tonight, just scan the code and you can get access to those. So let's get started in making our herbal first aid kits. Um, okay, so our first herb is eucalyptus. So what you're going to want to do is grab your glass bottle and you'll want to grab your eucalyptus essential oil. And when you grab those, you want to put 10 drops of oil into the bottle. And then all you have to do is fill it with um, the coconut oil. And that's how you'll make your own essential oil roller bottles that you will use for the herbal first aid kit. I hope you guys can see this. And so I just fill it up to just underneath the brim so that you'll have it. This is probably a slower way to do it, but this was the way I thought it would be best for you guys to be able to fill your bottles. If you're just doing this on your own and you're not making 100, it's a whole lot easier to fill your bottles this way. So once you have your bottle full of the oil, you'll just take your little roller lid, pop it on, and take one of the plastic lids, put it on over it, and then you'll grab your label and just put it on. So that is how you're going to make these herbs on your own. So when I talk about them and teach you how to use them, now you'll know how I make them so that you can either get this kit and make it on your own, or you can get the already put together kit for you. So this is the bottle of eucalyptus oil with the roller bottles of like the eucalyptus. I used this in the shower this morning because I just have a squeaky voice and wanted to open up my airways better. And so I roll it here on my temples. I like to roll it under my nose. I put out my throat because that's the area I wanted to work on. I put it here on the back of my neck. And I like to put it on my feet and my chest and other areas in order to help me breathe. So some of the great things that eucalyptus does is to help us breathe better. It helps relieve cold symptoms as it can increase heat, which helps with fevers and it helps with the pain that you're experiencing. It promotes relaxation. So a lot of kids with anxiety will love the smell of eucalyptus oil. Some of us go to like the lavenders, but eucalyptus can be very soothing. It soothes irritated skin. I've used this on rashes and things like that before. It also repels insects. So as we're getting into summer and we're around those mosquitoes and ticks and things more, putting eucalyptus oil on can repel them. It's really good for asthma and bronchitis. I have been in situations where specifically, my husband can be allergic to trees, and sometimes when people burn trees, so we have the smoke from a fire, he can get a little bit of asthma, even though we cured his asthma about 17 years ago, and I can share that one day what I did, but he'll pull out the eucalyptus oil and breathe that deeply, and it'll open up his airways again. It's good for things like gingivitis. So putting a little on your finger and rubbing it on your gums can help. I will put it in my oil that I'll put on my hair to help prevent head lice. I'll even put it in a spray bottle that I use for I make my little girl something called mermaid spray just to help her hair, and it will help prevent head lice. It's good for toenail fungus. I use eucalyptus along with black walnut hulls for toenail fungus. It's great for arthritis and joint pain. So just rolling it on your wrists or hands if they're achy can be really helpful. It's great for bladder infections. You can roll it right on top of your bladder and you can even just breathe that eucalyptus in and it can help kill some of the infection. It's great as a cleaner. So I put this in with some vinegar and some other oils and can be a great cleaner and disinfectant. So that's basically what I have for eucalyptus. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the comments and let me know. I also love to add eucalyptus oils to my shower diffuser. So I have these, little bottles of oils that I put right in my shower and I put it on my shower diffuser and just breathe that in. So eucalyptus is a great way to help if kids are stuffy you have a cold. My son woke up with a fever today, and so I had him take a hot shower and to really start burning off some of the bugs inside of him by increasing his fever because I've done classes on fevers before, but the big thing that you want to do, and this is just on my mind because my son woke up with a sore throat and a fever, and I've been dealing with, my own raw throat because of speaking so much. But what you want to do with a fever is you want to make sure that you always have a wet fever if you're going to be working with it in any way. You don't ever want to increase a fever if your body is dry and not hydrated because then it causes problems. A dry fever is dangerous, but a wet fever is workable when you're using the herbs. So I put him in the hot bath as hot as he could stand. I gave him some lemon and cayenne pepper to drink and just had him stay in there for an hour as he worked with his fever. When he got out, he was super hot. So we put some cold socks on him and he um, wrapped up in a cool towel and then got dressed and went to bed. And he's doing much better tonight. He's up in my room relaxing. And I'm just so impressed with how you can use herbs. One of the biggest thing though, and anything you want to do with healing, if it's something like someone waking up with a sore throat, is you want to use the herbs, but always make sure the detoxification pathways are opening up or that you're doing something to open them up. So I also gave my son prune juice this morning, Dr. Christopher's kitty reg to open up his bowels and some other supplements. And getting those toxins out through the bowels is the most important thing to do when you're healing. You don't want them to stay inside. You want to actually get them out. So make sure you do that. The next herb that I love is ginger. So when using ginger, make sure you're making your bottles with me if you guys are watching this. So grab your ginger essential oil and put it into your bottle and put 10 drops of oil into the bottom of your glass jar and fill the rest with the coconut oil and then put the lids on and make sure you label it with the sticker. So while you're doing that, I'll share some properties that I love about ginger. Ginger is obviously, if you guys are into natural healing, it can help with nausea and vomiting. I have used ginger in many car rides or trips to the amusement park to help with nausea. And some really interesting studies is that ginger has been shown to work as well or even better than some of the anti-nausea medications or over-the-counter um, um, supplements, I guess. I can't think of the word right now, that they recommend for you to take for motion sickness. And so I know ginger's a little bit hot. I recommend it for a lot of people to try to use, but if it's too hot for you, you can get even the sugar coated ginger, anything that you can do to get it down. And my kids actually, if they see that, think it's candy and will eat it because they love ginger. But ginger is really amazing for nausea and helping to calm down that gag reflex. And ginger is a very strong herb. It's a hot herb, but it kind of increases the ability of other herbs to be stronger too. So even combining ginger with something like peppermint can really be helpful in easing nausea. Um, Ginger is another great one for migraine. So if you're in pain, from a migraine, you can eat the ginger. You can also use the ginger roll-on. And like I said before with the eucalyptus, you want to roll it on your temples, um, underneath your nose, so you're breathing it in, and on the back of your head, so that it's getting to that pain points. You can even roll it on your wrists or on your feet to really help calm and relax. And one thing I like to do if I'm in pain, like with a migraine, and I'm using ginger and peppermint, because all these herbs can stack together, I just try to deeply breathe in, feel where the pain is, and try to do a little energy work around what's causing the pain or some stress that I'm under, anything like that. So no, you can combine all these modalities in treating pain and healing with herbs. It also eases the symptom of allergies. So in my seasonal allergy roller that I'm not sure if I'm making this year, I put ginger. It's so good for managing blood sugar and cholesterol if you have type 2 diabetes. Even just eating ginger before a meal or just smelling this roller bottle, it could really help to balance blood sugar and cholesterol levels. I use it for acid reflux. So if you know that you get heartburn with eating a meal, you can't eat ginger before. I recommend about 20 minutes before or just breathe in the oil, and that can help with acid reflux. Another great one that I'll talk about in a minute is cayenne pepper that can really help with easing some of those symptoms. It gives relief from food poisoning. So I like to combine ginger with charcoal powder, and it's really good for gas and bloating, especially in babies. They do really well with ginger. Let me grab a drink. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions around ginger. But it's one of my favorite herbs to travel with, just because I have kids that get car sick. So keep your ginger on hand. One of the herbs that a lot of people are familiar with is lavender. Lavender essential oil is one of the most common essential oils that people use. People are pretty familiar with lavender and the relaxing benefits that it can give, but I want to share a couple other tips around lavender tonight. It's so great at reducing anxiety that most people know about. So, ADHD, attention issues, anxious feelings, overwhelm, it can be great for all of that. It's also great for healing burns. So, with the lavender roller bottles, apply your lavender and make your roller bottle with the lavender as I'm talking. But lavender is so good if you just roll it around a burn. You don't want to roll it directly on it unless it's a very mild burn. Um, you don't want to put it directly on any other burn just because the oils in these roller bottles can sometimes stop the healing ability, but rolling around it will be really helpful. It's really great for aging. I use lavender in some of my skincare products because it's really good for the skin and helping tighten it and reduce aging symptoms. It's also good for headaches. So this is another one you can pair with the peppermint and the ginger to help with headaches. It's great for things like eczema and rashes. You just put it right on the skin. It can help ease some of the itchy feelings that they have. Um, it's good for scarring and acne. So, in my zit stick, I use the lavender to help with some of the scarring. If that has jojoba oil in it instead of the coconut oil, I prefer that for putting it on the skin. It's also great for breathing and respiration. It's good for bug repellent. So remember, this is another one to combine like with the eucalyptus and repelling bugs if you're out and about camping or hiking. It's also good for circulation. I put it in my hair conditioners for dandruff. For people that have dandruff, I use it to breathe, clear sinuses, to boost your immunity. It also helps in digestion issues. So rubbing it on a sick tummy, which is so good for kids, using lavender for kids with digestion issues can be really, really helpful. I also like to put castor oil with lavender oil in it and just kind of pat it on your hair and then kind of stimulate it with your fingertips to help with hair loss. It's a great antispasmodic, reduces infections, and it's antibacterial. So you can put it in your cleaning products, and not only will they smell amazing, but it's very effective in cleaning. Um, Another herb that most people are familiar with. So grab out your last bottle and fill it with 10 drops of peppermint and the coconut oil. Put that label on it. Peppermint is another very familiar herb that people have used for digestion and bowel issues for a long, long time. But like I said, with the lavender, I want to go deeper and show you some of my favorite tips with peppermint. So IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, is a really big problem for a lot of people. One thing that I love is you can eat peppermint before you start eating. Just chew on a couple leaves or smell the peppermint oil, and that can really help to soothe the bowels before you start eating. It's also great for after if you get indigestion, kind of soothing that pain and that burn. It's helping increase those stomach acids. So it's also great for nausea and vomiting. So if you do feel ill just breathing in the peppermint roller really helps when I get people that are feeling nauseated. Just breathing in the peppermint oil is usually enough. You can also rub it underneath the nose and put it on the tummy. That can really help if they're okay with you touching them. You can rub it into their stomach. And I like to do a bowel massage where you work with the bowels. So you go up the intestine, over and down, along with the bowels, and that can help with the feelings of sickness. I used this many times for morning sickness. It didn't really help me stop vomiting, but it was really soothing. Um, gas, so babies with gas, peppermint is amazing for them. I have even put peppermint on their little binkies if they're teething or if they have gassy tummies. Don't use the essential oil, just kind of rub the peppermint leaves on them if possible, because peppermint oil could be a little hot for babies. So just use the leaves themselves. It's good for relieving symptoms of colds and coughs and sinus infections. So really that breathing and the breaking up the congestion is really awesome. Um, it helps increase memory. So if you have a kiddo that has anxiety around a test, have them carry around the peppermint roller bottle and breathe it in as they're studying and as they're getting ready for a test. Even just telling kids that it works is really helpful because they focus more and they know they have their special little peppermint roller bottle. We all know that peppermint can help with bad breath and tooth pain. It helps little ones too. So if your babies are teething and they're feeling pain, putting that peppermint on their bickies can be super helpful too. I've used peppermint many times for hives, rashes, um, any inflammatory skin disease. It's great to bathe in peppermint oil and put peppermint with the roller bottle directly on the hives and rash. Just test a small area first to make sure there's no allergic reactions with it. So it's also great for allergies. So allergy season is here. If you're suffering with allergies, take the three roller or all four of them, put them together and roll them up on your temples, under your nose, anything like that to help with hay fever. So as a little side note before we get into the herbs, the powdered herbs, just know that your power to heal doesn't come from some special ability, but just having the courage and the awareness to express the healing power that's already in you, that it's naturally part of who you are. And so, as a mother, especially, I always ask mothers, what does your intuition tell you to do? All of these herbs are kind of universal, they can be used for most people. So, if you're feeling like you don't have your go to chart or you're just feeling confused around what to do, just listen to your heart, take a deep breath, check in, and see what you feel like you can do to help your children heal. I know a couple years ago, I was up at Yellowstone with my family and my husband's parents, and it was winter, and I didn't bring my herbal first aid kit. And we came back after a long day of traveling around the park, and my sweet son, who's now 13, so this is 2 years ago, was sitting by the fire watching a movie with his grandpa. And my husband's dad came over to me and he said, Shell, Tate's really sick. And I said, oh, he was just fine a minute ago. And he goes, he's really hot. And I said, is it because he's sitting by the fire? And he said, I think he has a fever. And anyway, I went over to him and his poor little body was just burning up. And I did have a couple herbal things, but not my whole herbal first aid kit. So I took him into the room and let everyone else stay by the TV and the fire. And I started doing some healing energy work with my little guy, not in the normal way. I'm not certified in any of that, but I started talking to him and kind of pulling out some energy and asking him how he was feeling and if anything was bothering him or he was stressed. And as soon as he got a couple emotions out, I asked him if he knew that about the power his body had to heal and if he wanted to heal because we had a couple more days of vacation and my husband's parents are getting older and I didn't want them to get sick on the vacation either. And he also expressed the same feeling and said that he wanted to get better and enjoy the rest of the vacation. And I just sat and I rubbed his feet and his little hands and was pulling energy on his body. And I just said, Tate, Your body is so amazing. You have done so much in your little life." And I told him his gifts and qualities, and I just said, I love you." And um, he fell asleep. And about 30 minutes later, my husband came in and his fever was way down. And we put him to bed. And the next morning, he woke up perfectly fine. And so, this ability that we have to heal doesn't necessarily mean that we have to have herbs. In order to help them heal, we have this natural healing ability. So I just encourage you to get in tune with that and use that, especially when it comes to your family and helping them to heal too. So getting into the powdered herbs, so you have all the powdered herbs in this kit, in this little bag. So um, you can grab the cayenne pepper, and this cayenne pepper in this bag is 40,000 heat units. So it's kind of a milder cayenne pepper. On the labels of every bottle, you'll see that it gives instructions on dosages and when and how to use it. So I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for you guys to use herbs for healing. But cayenne pepper, if I had to pick one herb that I always carry around with me, it would probably be cayenne pepper because of its ability to do things really powerfully. Cayenne pepper has the ability to stop a heart attack. And I have seen this work, people with heart conditions. Cayenne pepper deals with blood. And so when you're dealing with blood, that can bring so much healing. And so I recommend people just grab a cup, put some water in it, just a little bit, put a little cayenne pepper in it, and drink. Like, dosages at that moment doesn't matter. But for me, like tonight, I have my lemon and cayenne pepper drink. I don't think it's very hot when it's this diluted, but it feels so good. That heat feels really good, like with my scratchy throat from talking too much. So cayenne pepper with the heat, don't be afraid of it because it really does have powerful healing properties. So one thing, like I mentioned in my Cabo experience or with my son cutting his finger a little bit ago, um, cayenne pepper stops bleeding. So take your bottle of cayenne pepper and don't be afraid to sprinkle it directly onto a wound, because cayenne pepper will bring blood, and blood brings the ability to um, I'm having a mind blank. Clot the blood so that it will stop the bleeding. If you're having something like a nosebleed, I recommend putting a little bit of cayenne pepper in a tiny little cup of water, and not the don't fill the full cup. Do like a fourth of a cup, and about a fourth of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and drink it. If it doesn't stop it in 30 seconds, try a little bit more, because usually 30 seconds to a minute, it will stop most bloody noses and any minor type bleeding. If you have a lot of bleeding, and I have dealt with that before, add more cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is not going to hurt or damage the wound in any way. The biggest question I get asked with that is it hot? And the answer is, you're already in pain. Most people don't notice. Just like I mentioned with my little girl, she didn't really notice the cayenne pepper when I put it on her eye. And I have used cayenne pepper on my eyes before to help with some things. It is hot and it burns, but nothing more than getting something just in your eye. I've even this was one of my low moments in life, sniffed cayenne pepper to help with a sinus infection, and it did work really well. I don't recommend it because I sneezed for like 2 hours straight. It was rough, but it did help with the sinus infection that I got. But also with my son who fainted when he cut his finger, cayenne pepper helps with shock and stroke. It's bringing blood. It's helping to either break up blood clots or push blood so those blood clots move through, or to clot the blood. So any issues with blood, whether that's heart attack or cholesterol or anything like that, you want to use cayenne pepper. I have a chart that I can put over in the Facebook group again that I did a couple months ago on how to gradually increase your doses of cayenne pepper so that you're getting 1 teaspoon 3 times a day for issues around heartburn, or if you're healing cholesterol or high blood pressure, anything like that. You want to get on a regular regimen of drinking cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is great for pain relief. It's one of the #1 things I recommend if you get a really bad migraine, or if you're having joint pain or anything like that. You want to drink the cayenne pepper. That heat and bringing that blood will really help balance out the pain that you're feeling. With heartburn, I recommend you drink cayenne pepper 20 minutes before you eat. so that it can help increase those stomach acids. And then don't drink anything until about 20 minutes after your meal. One of the things that I have done for about 25 years is I don't drink water with my meals because I have had stomach issues for years. And I notice if I'm traveling, sometimes I won't stick to that regimen as well. I'll start to get some of the stomach issues again. So, really learning how to use cayenne pepper to help with digestion and not diluting those stomach acids can be really huge. One of the biggest problems with indigestion that people get is that they don't have enough stomach acid. So we tend to go to using an acid, but the problem isn't needing to decrease those acids more. It's actually needing to increase the acid so you can actually break down the food so it's not sitting around in your stomach and causing that heartburn. So using these hot things like cayenne pepper to increase the stomach acid production, ginger, anything like that will really help heal digestion issues and disturbances. So it's also soothing for things like a sore throat. People have used it for diarrhea. Just be careful not to get too much cayenne pepper as you start out, because if you have diarrhea or if you're new to cayenne pepper, it can not only burn a little bit going in, but it can burn going out, which is why I have that chart on how to increase the heat if you're not used to drinking things like cayenne pepper. So it's also good for colds and flus, bringing that blood. That blood brings healing. So it's also great for producing saliva if you have a dry mouth, or if you want to work on digestion. Saliva is the first thing that starts the digestive process. So you want to make sure you're drinking cayenne pepper. It's also antibacterial and antifungal. So if you have bacterial and fungus issues, you can put cayenne pepper directly on them and wrap it up and let the cayenne pepper do its work. It's great for things like weight loss, increasing metabolism, helping with thyroid support, anything like that. It's also great for a toothache. You can put cayenne pepper directly on the tooth. Sometimes when you're using cayenne pepper, you can mix it with an oil. So putting it with the coconut oil and rubbing it on the tooth can really help. And so that's cayenne pepper. Let me know if you guys have any questions around that. Moving on to chamomile. A lot of people are also very familiar with chamomile because we find it in a lot of stores and restaurants and hotels. But I use chamomile a little bit different than just relaxing or just a soothing tea. Chamomile is great for treating fevers. If you do have a high fever, you can use chamomile to bring it down, or if you're trying to increase a fever, you can use chamomile to help soothe the body and keep it calm during a fever. So I know I use chamomile the most when I'm traveling with my kids because they tend to struggle to sleep. They have more energy than normal, and chamomile tea will just bring their energy right down. I use it for babies and colic and digestion issues. The number one place I use chamomile tea is for a son who's allergic to bees. And I'll use astragalus and marshmallow to help calm his immune system. But chamomile and drinking it will help not only soothe his stress around it, because my son gets so anxious around bee stings or hornets or wasps because he's allergic to all of them, and he swells up really bad. Last fall, I don't know if you guys saw the pictures or remember them. He showed like both fists, and one was this massive fist, and one was this little one. He really swells up badly, so I always get chamomile tea for him to drink. It's also great for settling tummy. So if you're traveling, you get a bellyache, and it's just a smaller bellyache, you can use the chamomile and the peppermint and the ginger to help soothe those tummy aches. It's also great for allergies. So along with like this astragalus, the marshmallow, and calming the immune system, you could use the chamomile. It's great for skin irritation, so putting it in the bathtub is a really great way to soothe that way, or just to make the tea and put it on the skin is also really soothing. I've done that with my daughter who gets hives sometimes. It's also great for burns. So if you get a bad burn, you can make the chamomile tea and put um, the hot, warm, cooled but heated leaves on the burn, and that can really help soothe the burn. Chamomile is great for detoxifying the liver. So if you're doing a detox, drinking chamomile tea is a really great way to help detoxify your liver. It breaks up congestion, so drinking that tea also really helps with any extra mucus. I'll use chamomile with the onion poultice, where you chop the onions and sprinkle some water and put them on low in the oven, and then put those warm onion on your chest. And I even do it with the castor oil, like I talked about last month. So using them together, put the castor oil pack and sleeping on it will do a great job of breaking up mucus. I've done that even with pneumonia, and it has worked super, super well. Um, it's great for reducing fevers. I don't always recommend reducing fevers unless absolutely necessary, but if it's necessary, chamomile is great for doing that. Excuse me. It is great for lowering blood pressure, calming things down. Think of chamomile as just a calming type herb, but also lifting your mood, so calming the stress, lifting the joy. It's great for relieving gas pain. I've um, given my little infants after 6 months chamomile and peppermint tea to help gas and tummy issues, and constipation, anything like that. It's also great for soothing ulcers. So if you're healing ulcers, especially with cayenne pepper, using chamomile can really help soothe that healing process. Just make sure you give the cayenne pepper about 20 minutes to work on its own. So the next herb is comfrey. Because of all the controversy out there around comfrey, for the most part, if you're new to herbs, I do recommend that you use comfrey powder externally and not internally unless you know what you're doing. But for the most part, I have the comfrey powder, and so it just comes in this little tube. Comfrey is so great to mix with other herbs. It's called the bone knitting herbs. So if you have any sprained ankles or broken bones or broken skin that you need to heal, comfrey is my go-to thing that I use. I like to mix it with an oil, kind of create a paste and leave that on, wrap it up, and let comfrey do its job. So comfrey really likes to sit with things. So you can even put comfrey in water and soak rags in it and put those rags on the wound and just keep changing them out every couple of hours. I've seen amazing miracles with comfrey in doing this. My son was jumping on a trampoline in Samoa a couple of years ago, and he was quite a little guy compared to all of his other friends who were similar in age. And as they were jumping on the trampoline, he got his arm jumped on. And when he came running to me screaming, I really had wondered if it was broken, but it was the weekend and we were in Samoa and not by a hospital, and they weren't open on the weekends. And so I took him home and braced his arm and was using the comfrey poultices all weekend and doing some other things with it. But by Monday, when I had wondered about going to the doctor, I had my friend come over who was a nurse, and she said everything looked better and there was no breaks that she could see. And my son never complained about it again. And I don't know what exactly happened, but I was so grateful for comfrey, and I've used this over and over and over again to help heal, especially with 3 boys, because comfrey is a go-to that we need in our family. So it's really great for protecting the skin. I've used comfrey leaves with boosters and using them as a band-aid and things like that. Comfrey is awesome. If you know what this looks like, if you know any borage family plants that grow, borage is a great thing to pick off and use in healing as like bandages and things like that in nature. It's great at reversing infection, healing insect bites, burns. I use comfrey powder #1 for burns that blister. And so I combine comfrey powder, wheat germ oil, and raw honey, make a little paste of that, and it is amazing for burns. And for those of you who know some of my experiences with burns, know that that is a miracle healer for burns. I've used it for acne, so you can make a little mask for acne and put the comfrey on and sleep with it, and it is so good at soothing irritated skin. Um, it's great for bruises. If you get really bad bruising, you can pile on those leaves, make sure they're squished and some of those oils are coming out, and you can plaster them on or just use the tea and soak the rags and things in it. It's good for cuts, sprains, strains. It's an astringent and anti-inflammatory. So comfrey is just an amazing herb to have for healing. Um, Activated charcoal is probably my #1 go-to herb because I have so many stomach infections and I deal with people with food poisoning and I have kids who get into things, and I'm always trying to detoxify the system. Charcoal is a great binder, and so it's something that I use often. It traps infection, so it pulls it to it, and really helps with if you're doing like a candida cleanse or if you're doing parasite cleanses, things like that, using a binder like charcoal powder can be really helpful. Charcoal can be made of coconut shells and other things like that that are burned, and it's been activated, and so they have the ability, the charge is so that it will attract things to it. So in the case of things like food poisoning, it will help attract the toxins and flush them out of your system easily. I've used it for swimming in a public pool and worried about, what might be in the water. And so having us drink charcoal powder after we swim can be really helpful to make me feel better about any toxins there. If you have any vomiting or diarrhea, food poisoning, anything like that, I recommend taking a tablespoon of the charcoal powder, mixing it in a cup of water and drinking it. It doesn't really taste, sometimes the texture, because it has a little bit of a grittiness, can bother people, but I always say it's worth it. Drinking the charcoal powder can be a lifesaver. I had an experience where I gave my family niacin to help with mosquito bites because I'd read that on the internet. Don't always trust what you read on the internet. And maybe it worked, just not in the doses I did. But honestly, I thought we were all going to die. Our heart rate started getting high and fast, and our faces were flushed, and everything was just making me feel like I just killed my whole family. Well, we called poison. My husband called poison control because I was on the floor dying, of course. And he said, that poison control said, just give him charcoal powder. And it has been such a lifesaver for me and my kids. It's so great for infections, anti-aging. So I have a detox mask. I didn't put charcoal powder in it just because it can get messy, but if you have charcoal powder, you can add a little bit to it and put that on your face. Just make sure you wash it well. It will get all over everything. It's good just for spot treatment if you have acne, especially if you have cystic acne or things like staph infections or something where you're pulling through the skin. You can use charcoal powder. Just make sure you cover it well so it doesn't get on anything. I add a little bit of charcoal powder to my herbal tooth and gum powder that I get from Dr. Christopher's, and it can really whiten your teeth and give them a good shine. It's such a great soother for mosquito bites and bee stings. So I know some people will say make a paste with baking soda. We don't always travel with that, but while I'm out and about, I can do charcoal powder. Even if you had to do it with spit, just put charcoal powder with a little bit of water right on to the sting, and it really pulls out that infection well. We all know that charcoal powder can be used for water filtration, so it's a great thing to travel around with. It can purify the air. It's great. The kidneys are filters, so it can help with kidney health. And so that's all 8 of the herbs. I know that was a lot, but I really want you to think about these herbs as something you can use together, something you can use to help your children, your spouse, your family. I use this for my kids' football teams, anyone that needs it. So I want you to think about asking yourself some questions after everything that I said. What could you do if your child has a headache? What herbs would you use? If your child will let you, drinking the cayenne is really great for headache, eucalyptus, peppermint, ginger, anything like that. So you can combine them. If you get a stomach ache after a meal or you get food poisoning, think about what your number one go-to is. And you can put them down in the comments if you guys are watching. I'm kind of watching for some of the comments. But if you get a stomach ache, of course, the number one thing I do is do the charcoal powder, go to the peppermint and the ginger, really start soothing those infections. What do you do if your spouse has a heart attack? I hope you guys all remember this one. Give them cayenne pepper. Make sure you put it in water. Cayenne pepper and a spoon is no good. We've tried it. It's no good. Not on purpose, by the way. If you get allergies, what can you do? I combine all 4 of my oils all the time for allergies. The lavender, the peppermint, the ginger, and the, which one am I missing? Eucalyptus. There we go. And I do it with the chamomile tea. And so if your baby's stuffy from a cold, I like to put them in the shower, work with their fevers, get their bowels open, and help them breathe with the eucalyptus oil and do the tummy massages and things like that. Even if your child just has anxiety, what do you do? And I know I mentioned you can use like the peppermint for some kids. Eucalyptus is another one, but most people go to the lavender. So I hope that helps you think about how you can start using these herbs in your um, everyday life with your family. I know so many of us were trained to go to the medicine cabinet and take over the counter um, medications. But instead of doing that, I do recommend that you start with the herbs first. I'll be going with my husband and two oldest kids on something that in our church is called Trek, where we kind of do this hike like with the pioneers. And my son was like, Mom, are you going to bring your Herbal First Aid Kit? And I was like, yes. And he's like, I'm so glad because I know I'm probably going to use it because they were talking about medical things that they do. And he wanted to make sure we had the herbs instead because they're just so powerful and they work so much better. They were telling me that this kid had the bar from the hand cart last year hit his chin and he bit his tongue really bad and he had to sit and hold gauze on his tongue for hours. And I thought, wouldn't it have been nice if we had the cayenne pepper and could just let that cauterize within, a minute? And so I'm so grateful for herbs in these situations. And don't forget, I have this whole kit. I have it all out now that you can just, now that you have it, put all your herbs in your bag and your kit, and you can grab this for only $59.99. Um, that I'll have it for about 2 or 3 weeks until I get everything shipped out. So if you're wanting this, it's such a great deal. It's over $199 worth of herbs with all these booster packs with putting it all together and the bandages and the super glue and all the herbs and labels and everything like that. They're high quality therapeutic essential oils and organic natural herbs. So if anyone's worried about that, I only ever use the best. So this is such a great deal. It makes for great Mother's Day gifts. I will be putting all my skincare kits on sale for Mother's Day in a couple days, so watch for that sale coming up. But you can add these two together. And also remember that with every kit that you purchase, you'll get a free book. This is how to heal inflammation and detox your whole body from the inside out. So I hope this was helpful. If you guys do have any questions on how to use your herbs or putting them together, feel free to reach out and ask me. I'm happy to share and help in any way because I really believe in the power of these herbs and their ability to help you and your family to heal. As we're closing out, I just want to ask if anyone has any questions, let me know.
By Margaret Hamilton.
Um, You are so welcome, Kelly. Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry for some of the people. I usually don't have any issues streaming, and I had tried it earlier this week, and it was working just fine. But I didn't want to spend too much time trying to figure out that stream, and I had a couple of you waiting. So I will hopefully get that figured out for the next class. But if you guys want to watch the replay, I'll have this posted in my YouTube channel and in my Facebook group, so you can always go back to this. And if you don't want the whole Herbal First Aid Kit, but you just want this card with all the little tips and tricks around these 8 herbs, I also have this on sale. And like I mentioned before, the QR code where you can download all of my slides to get all this information is also another great resource. So I really do hope this was helpful. You can go to my website, thehealinghappymethod.com, and find this kit under the Box Club of the Month under free classes. And for those of you who are already, excuse me, subscribed, you will get this kit sent out to you and you can go ahead and make it with me. And for those of you wanting to do it, I will still open this up for you. And as a side note, I do have about 3 or 4 of the castor oil kits left over from last month. I know a couple of you reached out and asked if I still had any of those. Just type in castor oil kit under the search bar of my website, and you can see that you can still purchase that kit. So, like I said, it's my Mother's Day sale this coming weekend. So I'm putting so many of these things on on sale. These kits won't be any different. They're already at the price that they will, so you can't use the sale codes with them. But all the skincare and anything else, if you've been wanting to get anything like that for gifts or give these first aid kits as Mother's Day gifts or to your daughters, anything like that, they make incredible gifts. I've sold probably more first aid kits as gifts than for people themselves. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you again for joining me tonight. I really appreciate you dealing with all the tech issues and everything with me. And I wish you all the best as you help you and your family heal with herbs. So thanks, you guys. Have a wonderful night. Bye.